I've always loved music. Even as a little kid, my parents never played any instruments, but they were always into music. And I'm kind of more or less a disco baby. My dad was on the country side of things, which I was too young to appreciate then anyway. But my mom, she was always in the disco, and I just grew up a disco baby. I got into spinning in like '97. It was shortly after going to my first warehouse party. A good friend of mine that I lived with, Damien, and Matt, they were actually down in Mexico, and they came back from Rocky Point trip, and they're like, oh my God, you gotta check this out. There's this new music that we've never heard of. I was like, huh, what are you talking about? Because I was always into hip hop back then, as were most people. And they're like, yeah, it's called trance, and it's just like so crazy because everybody is super friendly and this and that, and the music's just like dope, whatever. Long story short, we went to our first warehouse party, and I was basically hooked after that. Like, it was nuts. I've always been like a huge lover of loud bass, and obviously there was loud bass in this warehouse party. But there was this DJ on stage, and just controlling the music with turntables. I was like, what the hell is going on? This is so crazy, you know? Like, it was so dope. And after that, I was pretty much hooked. Damien was hooked. My other friend Matt was hooked. And like I said, I lived with Damien at the time, and probably about 7 months after that, he got turntables, and then the rest was history. Like, back then, you had to... It wasn't like today. There was no social media. There was no cell phones or anything like that. So you actually had to go to record stores and say a password, and then they would tell you where the party was. They'd give you a flyer for it. So you had to know people to know where the parties were. But yeah, we started following people, following the parties, and then just kind of grew from there, basically. Even since the early days, I'll just start off from when we actually started doing our own parties or having our own club nights. So that's when you really had to work to keep things going, you know? But it's always been a struggle in Tucson to keep things going. Like, even back then, there was really only 2 clubs doing electronic music, the rest was hip hop. And like, back in those days, to promote, you had to get the club owner to basically print flyers for you, which was pretty hard at most times. And if they did, it was all about guerrilla marketing. So you had to go out there and hit the streets and promote and everything like that. So it's always been tough. You know, there's been times, I mean, I've been DJing for a long time now, like over 20 years. And there's been a few times when I've wanted to quit just because it's such a struggle in this town. There's the old saying, hometown heroes, which, yeah, there's hometown heroes, but they never get popular. You don't get popular until you go out of your own town. Right now is a good time because the growth of downtown is like popping like huge. So there's more clubs, there's more restaurants, you know, there's just more people downtown in general. More people that wouldn't like the music years ago are actually okay with the music now. So
I specifically remember you doing like, it was like 6 hours, right? 6 hour set?
Yeah, the all vinyl set.
Yeah, like what was that like, and have you done anything like that before? And talk about that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We used to do that back in the day all the time. It was a regular. Not too many people do that anymore, not because they can't, but just, or not because they're not technically skilled, but just because nobody really has vinyl or Technique players, record players anymore. It was a lot of fun. It was so much fun to play the records again and to play for that long, and it felt a little bit special because a lot of people had never seen anything like that before. And from the old days, yeah, I mean, you had a beat match. You had to be good at your craft in order to make it. Like, there was no like faking the funk back then. It's a little bit easier now with the sync buttons and all that, but like back then it was different. And to, you know, relive that experience, it was so much fun. It was really, really cool. I'm just trying to stay relevant, definitely. And every time I play it, it's my passion for the underground's always going to be there. It's, you know, I want to play those records that people have never heard before. I want I want to take elements of what I've learned over the years and incorporate them into my sets continuously, and just that's what I'm all about. So yeah, I want to keep popping up in different parties, and maybe I'll throw some of my own parties. We'll see. There's a lot of crews in town where I really flow with what they're trying to do, and I think that it's a positive thing, and we'll just have to see.